Why don't you try seeing Waterstone Media? Okay, let me try to read your comment. Hey, why don't you try seeing up a professional studio setup? These locations look pretty sweet. Maybe a two per week would be easy and a new format for you. I'm good, Waterstone. Don't worry about me. This was never supposed to be anything, slick and professional. My thing was like, you know what? I kind of spent way more than half my life doing radio. Had a good time doing it in general. Made a good life for myself. Was able to do something that worried me early on. I didn't want to worry about money like I had to worry about money as a kid when I was making a lot of money as a caddy, and I handed over to my parents because they were desperate to keep bills going and food on the table. And because I hit as a caddy and was bringing home a lot of cash, they took all my money. My mom wrote it down. Oh, we're going to give it back to you someday. And then, I had the means to take care of myself technically, but I didn't because I had to give all my money up. So even though I was working hard, making a lot of money, I was still fucking worried about money and dirt poor. And then I continued working hard. I hit in radio, and one of the things I didn't have to worry about was the worry of money. And then Opie and Anthony ended, and then I did start another professional show with Carl and Vic and Chris and Theo Vaughn and all those guys. They were just so much fun. Radio was fun again. And then because I couldn't help myself and I had to keep acting up at SiriusXM, the company finally was like, we got to get rid of this effing guy. I mean, if you listen to my last year radio, and I post the episodes on my podcast, Opie Radio, it's really good stuff. I was onto something, but stupid me, I had to keep acting up, taking shots at Howard Stern, and they got rid of me. And I'm like, all right. And then I'm explaining to you, Warstone, by the way, if you're still here, okay? This is the real reason. And then I started the podcast, and the podcast was just crushing. The numbers were crazy. When I first started the podcast, when it debuted, it was right behind Joe Rogan. I know it sounds crazy, but if you go back and look at the charts, when I first started the podcast, in the comedy podcast category, I was right below Joe Rogan. And of course it drops because there was interest at first, whatever. But I was off to a great start, and we were doing really, really well, and the numbers were really, really good, and the advertisers were really, really good. And then Carl and Vic died within 6 months of each other, and and then at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to turn this on in the morning because I still like doing it. I got a decent GoPro. I got some decent views. Finally got a mic, and this is what I want to do. If it turns out into anything else, great. But my goal isn't to, to put a whole bunch of money into a studio and hope that I could relive the dream that I already lived. So that's why. And I see that the numbers are definitely starting to grow again, which is kind of nice. But that's why, dude. I did it. For me, I'm like, I want to just fool around. Turn on a live stream. I like taking the piss out of things. I like to, get some of this dumb stuff out. That's one reason why I got into radio. I'm like, wow, life sucks for all of us, but to turn on a mic and be able to spew it is so freeing. So I still do that because I like that part of it. I hope that answered your question, sir. Because, to keep chasing and chasing and chasing, I see it. There are guys, without mentioning names today, to this day, they're hustling and chasing and chasing and chasing and hoping this time, if I do these 5 podcasts this week, finally I'll be at a place I need to be. And you realize that that doesn't make you happy to keep chasing and hustling. I did it. If this keeps growing and turns into something, then I'm like, oh wow, actually, more and more people are watching. Okay, then maybe I'll pump up the production even more. But this literally started after Carl and Vic died, with me with just my phone, hanging out with my good view. And I'm like, okay, set up the laptop. All right, let's get a little better camera. Oh, the audio's bad. Okay, I'll get a mic. So that's where I'm at, brother. Okay. If other people want to set up studios and keep chasing the dream, and if it works for them, great. But it's been my experience seeing these guys day after day after day for many, many years. I'm talking about mostly like comedians and other guys that came onto the show. None of them were happy. They just kept chasing and chasing, and they didn't understand what true happiness was. I know what makes me happy. Hanging out with my wife, my kids, my friends. And guess what? When I turn this thing off, we don't talk about any of this stuff. Literally. I got friends that'll go, oh, I checked out the live stream. Cool. Anyway, you want to go get a beer? I'm like, yeah, fuck. Okay, that sounds cool. All right. Like I said, I'll stay for super chats. I think we got one, and then I'm going to go. I meant no offense for my question. It's been scrolling across the bottom. Tommy Festa's favorite podcast in the entire world is called Comedy Quick Hits with Opie. I love this thing. I literally got 30 plus years of audio. Not all of it, because Erock won't give me back my stuff until I become a human being. I forgot about that. But I still got a lot of stuff. And I find stuff. And a few of you have been cool, and you've actually gave me stuff and gave me links to material, my material, as part of the Opie and Anthony show. So I want to thank those people. They're like, oh, God, Erock's like a twat. It's not his stuff. And he's like, here's a link. I don't got everything, but here's stuff. So I appreciate those people for sure. But I got a ton of audio. So I started another podcast called Comedy Quick Hits with Opie. And for those idiots out there, you'll see how fucking funny I am when people aren't being dicks behind my back. When I'm not in a toxic environment, it's all right there. Tons of funny stuff from me and everybody else. And I'm mostly focusing on the last year of radio I did for SiriusXM and the first year or so of the Opie Radio podcast. That's where I started with Comedy Quick Hits with Opie. And then, eventually, I guess if it keeps growing, and it is growing, so thank you, I'll expand to other stuff. But I'm proud of it. It's a good listen. It's quick. It's just bam, bam, best of clips. Took your advice. I'm trying to space them out a little more, but I like how I set up the rhythm of it. But I got to listen to you guys as well. But I just dropped another episode, and I just babbled about Comedy Quick Hits with Opie, and I'll get an extra 10 downloads from you people. But thank you. It's Tommy Festa's favorite podcast, trust me. So you can get Comedy Quick Hits with Opie wherever you get your podcast. I would appreciate it if you downloaded a couple episodes, and if it's not for you, like, I tried, but the guy said to help him out a little bit. So all right, let me at least listen to a couple. I would appreciate that. That's the big plug today. Okay. All right. There are no more.
Wow. So Opie got really depressed there, and then gave Erock a trashing, and then dared trash me. So he put on X, some loser is claiming that I was losing it this morning discussing Anthony's WABC salary. Just another liar. Here's exactly what I said. So F off. And he's referring to, remember yesterday I made the video entitled it, Opie Loses It, talking about Anthony Cumias' salary, in which he did. But he called me a loser. He told me to F off. I thought he said I was tough. But, yeah, he's still mad about the Erock thing. But my God, did he get depressed when that guy brought up, like, his equipment and stuff. But here's the thing Opie doesn't get. And Opie, he keeps doing this thing where Erock said it, but Erock took my point. So I'm agreeing with him in the Erock trashing. I'm just kidding. But he's too afraid to take a risk. I've always said this. Opie is, quote unquote, not really trying. So when he fails, he can just say, well, I wasn't even really trying. He's afraid of the competition and everything. But this is the reason why Carl Ruiz, the mad Cuban, ended up hating Opie and stopped hanging out with him right before he died. And he died living with Miss Chipperson. He had hooked up with her. But Opie signed that Westwood One deal. They were going to build him a studio, do an actual show, and he refused to. And it so frustrated Carl. Because Carl, remember, gave up his family. He left his wife and kids, the restaurant, hooked up with Miss Chipperson. And it was like, I'm hitching my ride to the Opester. And then Opie was like, I'm just going to run around New York City and harass people and pay a fat woman to do stuff inside of a restaurant. And I'll throw a cup of something into Pat Duffy's face. And I'm talking like this because this is the way Opie talks now. So, like, he thought that was going to be a show. I mean, like, Opie's big get for his Westwood One show was the interview with Bill Burr. He just went and sat in, like, a coffee room at Westwood One and sat on some couches. So, he wasn't trying that because it was the same thing. So when he's on this, but he got all depressed because you know how depressing it is seeing your former partner go on and just make it and have success. You could say it doesn't bother you, but just as a human being, it bothers you. Like if you go to ex, you don't want that ex spouse to do good. You want them to fail. So just as a human being, but yeah, I mean, the Opster. He's not happy. Half of his chat is just trashing him. He's still mad at Erock. He's throwing me trashings on Twitter. And I'm blocked from Twitter, so I can't even respond to him or anything. Then, of course, everyone on Twitter is just trashing him. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments.